Hello, advanced financial planning students. We are now in week 3, and after week 3, we're going to be halfway through the course. So this course does move quickly. So still continue to think about your final project. Again, that PowerPoint. So go back to the syllabus, review that for all the expectations. This week, we're going to continue with a forum discussion about purchasing an automobile. It ties in directly to our readings this week. Next to a home, an automobile is one of the largest purchases, example of a durable good that a household makes. And unfortunately for most cars, they depreciate in value very quickly. So we typically look at cars as something that is needed for transportation, but they don't make very good investments. So there's also a textbook tied into like utility theory. Yes, we need to get to point A to B, but also, does this make me happy? Are there certain things about this car that make me feel safe or that I feel secure that it's not going to break down the highway? So we have to balance all these decisions. But to try to make a good decision too, because if we're going back and thinking about total portfolio management, as the textbook talks about, if I'm putting, a bunch of money into a $50,000 truck and that depreciates in value very quickly, that's something that could have been going to help the overall plan. So it goes back again, it ties into theory of managing these assets. Do these assets add value, obviously from an investment return, but also it's important too that it means that we can't have stuff, but it's just that, is this going to add value overall to my financial goals? So all right, a little bit about expectations this week. You're going to have an exam out there. It covers chapters 1 through 7. There's 50 questions. It's available on Monday and it's due on Sunday. You need to complete this individually, and you'll just put your answers on a one-page Word document or two-page if you can fit it all there. If you kind of do some adjustments, you can fit it all on a one page, but you'll just say like answer number 1 is C, 2 is C, 3 is C. So you just give me the letter responses and I can go through and I can grade it that way. And then you also have your regular homework problems from the chapters, and then you'll have your chapter readings. And again, make sure to respond to that forum discussion post. And if you have any questions, do let me know. A little bit of overview for the chapters that you're going to read this week. I'll start off with chapter 8, looking at non-financial assets. There are many things that we purchase or buy. And you think about some of the ones that they're financial, but this chapter also mostly focuses on the non-financial. So you look at the real assets, such as your home, durable goods, the human, which a lot of times people forget about. But you're going to school is a good example of investing in yourselves. Hopefully, this can result in a higher return for you in career advancement. And sometimes it can just be feeling good about, hey, I have this knowledge set now, I know some more, and this is going to help me make better decisions in life. And there's others such as, collectibles and jewelry. But again, reminder about total portfolio management. How am I allocating my monies towards assets that are going to reach financial goals? Especially when you think about retirement. If you go out and you buy this thing, most of us don't sit there and contemplate that if I just took the family out for dinner, how many days did this delay my retirement? But in theory, it does. If we're eating out all the time, and my objective is to retire at age 60, say, that money not invested in some type of investment vehicle in retirement, like a 401k or 403b or something else, may delay by a day or something, because if I invest that money, got a 10% rate of return over a period of time. Now, obviously, the longer the time period that you have until you retire, the bigger the impact. But it doesn't mean that we can't do certain things. It's just that how are we balancing, how are we making decisions together in order to get assets that are going to increase the value of our overall portfolio, and again, weighing in that risk and return. So it's trying to make good decisions, especially when we're buying these big ticket items or we're making choices about assets. It's to me, it's just like, at Christmas time, there might be little knickknacks and things like that. It doesn't mean that it doesn't give us pleasure or happiness, but do we really need it? And that's a question. If my objectives are this, you got to kind of stop and ask yourself, is this thing going to truly make me happy for the long run? Or is it going to sit on a shelf downstairs somewhere and I'm never going to use it again? So, okay. Chapter 9, we look at financial investments. This should be a somewhat familiar chapter to you, especially if you've already taken finance, because it goes into theory of portfolio allocation from the mix of stocks and bonds, and it reviews Eugene Fama's efficient market hypothesis. It's almost, if you're making choices at work between which mutual fund you should take, you might as well just take the S&P 500 fund, because there's really no thought process involved for those investment managers, and usually the fees associated with those funds are very low. So that's been something that the federal government has been talking about recently, about how many of these mutual funds, the fees are so high, it doesn't really act in your fiduciary interest. So you have to kind of watch that depending on which funds you take out, because they can eat away at your returns over long periods of times. But many professional money market managers have a hard time beating that average over the long run. So it just kind of says that, hey, if markets are really efficient, everybody's competing for information, why don't you just go ahead and buy an S&P 500 fund? It doesn't mean that other mutual funds can't outperform the S&P, but it's just being selective about what is your willingness to take on risk. And it kind of goes back to Harry Markowitz's modern portfolio theory, that we want to look at investments not alone, but how it ties into the portfolio. We want to look at not just return, but also risk, and also trying to tie all those assets together so they're not correlated, to reduce overall risk. And that involves some statistics sometimes, nothing that we necessarily have to know individually, but just that if our portfolios are diversified, that if bonds go up, maybe stocks go down, and vice versa. But the long run, the objective is to get the highest possible return with the least amount of risk. And then last chapter 10, you're exposed to risk management. So we have different ways to assess risk, we have different ways to manage a risk. Everyone is exposed to some type of risk, whether it's macroeconomic risk or our job risk, or just something that could happen just as we be in a car accident. So there are other chapters. Chapter 11 talks about more other types of insurance products, but this chapter mostly talked into life insurance. For myself personally, I'm more a term fan of life insurance. I talked to an insurance agent one time. He said that the probability that you'll ever actually be able to put a claim on a life insurance policy is maybe 3 or 4%. So it doesn't mean that we don't want to have insurance, but we just don't want to be overpaying for insurance. And that's the hardest part about risk management, is understanding, how do I make sure that I cover all my potential risks that are important to me, and not overpay for insurance too, because most of us will never recoup the amount of insurance premiums that we paid in over a lifetime. You think about all the different types, whether it be health insurance, life insurance, home insurance, car insurance. So, but we don't want to be exposed to that risk, because if all of a sudden our house burns down, we'd be financially wiped out if we had to cover that ourselves. Or if you're in a really bad accident and you're liable, if you say that you only take out the minimum, you are liable for that other expense. So we don't want to be exposed to that. We want to protect our assets, and that's the part of risk management. So it's, how do we protect them at a reasonable price, and how do we make decisions about tied to cash flow too, that what's the type of deductible that I'm willing to take on. Obviously, the higher deductible, the lower the insurance premiums, but also then it creates a risk that, am I going to have, say, $2,500 to meet this deductible? So a lot of tough questions, a lot of tough decisions have to be made relative to insurance. So, well, that's it for this week. So I hope everybody had a great weekend. Looking forward to the forum discussion in week 3. Again, at the end of this week, we're halfway done. So just keep on top of things. Keep plugging along. You all are doing a great job in the forum discussions, and I'm looking forward to talking to you this week. Have a great week and take care.